Fly away on Bangor Airway. Something, something up in the sky. Whoa, we're going to Ibiza. Oh, back to the island. Whoa, we're gonna have a party. Whoa, in the Mediterranean Sea. Oh, hey guys. Don't worry about what I was doing over here. Let's get that mic and we'll do a video. Hey, don't worry about all this. It's innocent. Don't even worry about what I was doing. Don't. You saw nothing. You saw nothing. Um, so hey guys, welcome to the channel. We'll get Geraldo over here and we'll clean this up later. Who cares? Bit of studio recording. So hey guys, just wanted to come on and do a video today about Netflix because obviously they have lost the Warner Brothers deal or have pulled out. So it looks like Paramount's going to get Warner Brothers. But I've seen a lot of speculation now about what is Netflix's next move. I mean, obviously we have Netflix, one of the biggest, if not the biggest streaming service on planet Earth. And yes, they are a studio that makes content. They are a studio. But what happens now? Because I think a lot of people have been speculating. I have been watching Campy, I've been watching a lot of YouTubers, and I see a lot of the same topics coming up that, hey, there's going to be an exodus from Warner Brothers. This is part of any acquisition. Obviously, David Ellison's going to want his own people in the Warner Brothers roles. He's going to want people, even though he's saying he's keeping everyone, he's going to want to run it a certain way. So that raises a topic. What happens? Now, I've seen a lot of speculation about Netflix will be ready to buy the people who leave Warner Brothers. This is the James Gunns and sort of people of the world, the people who run the studio. Now, or the studios within Warner Brothers. Now, I could see that happening. I could see a scenario where James Gunn goes to Netflix. I could see a scenario where all the other people who is mentioned, you know, in charge of the theatrical division of Warner Brothers, I could see those people going to Netflix. I could see them helping Netflix establish a cinematic business or establish something that could put Netflix movies in the cinema because it is a moneymaker. But I think a lot of people are forgetting that it doesn't make sense to build something from the ground up like that. Now, yes, there's a lot of upfront cost. There is a lot of stuff where it's their own, but I could see Netflix buying something a bit more like, let me stick with me for a second. I could see Netflix buying a Sony Pictures or a Universal Comcast, or like, I don't know if they can buy Comcast, but I could definitely see them buying Universal. I could see a lot of scenarios where Netflix says, you know what? We actually do want to get into the theatrical business. We do want to acquire a studio. I mean, we have two other options right there, right off the top of our head. We can go with Warner Brothers, not Warner Brothers. We can go with Universal, or we can approach Sony Pictures, because Sony Pictures have been flirting with the idea for a very long time of selling their theatrical division. They have been flirting with it. A lot of people now, they've got Sony Core as part of the PlayStation. I think there's other scenarios with that where if Sony Pictures gets sold, then I think Spider-Man reverts back to Marvel. But there's a lot of scenarios here where you kind of have to look at it and you have to say, what will Netflix do next that makes the most financial sense? Now, obviously, they could just hold that hundreds of millions or billions that they were going to spend on Warner Brothers and say, you know what? Let's put that into movies, let's put that into TV shows, and let's enhance our lineup. I could also see them going for IPs overall. I could see them acquiring like an A24 or acquiring like they've already owned Discovery Channel, or no, Discovery Channel is Warner Brothers. But I could see them acquiring like all little tinier studios and being like, you know what, let's ramp up our IPs. So that's why I'm thinking Universal or Sony will be sold next. And I'm thinking we look at this as it's unprecedented, like too many things emerging together. It's bad for the industry. But we had this whole thing in the past couple of decades or past decade where people complain about the cost of streaming. People have been complaining pretty consistently like, oh, I have too many streaming services. It was all back on Netflix and now we have to buy everything. And then we started getting it all through all these other streaming services so you could pick what you want. But now it's like, oh, now I have to have 500 different streaming services and it costs too much and all this. So now we're merging them together. And then the complaint is also, well, we don't want it all to be monopolized. So it's like, you're never going to win no matter what you do. But I think what happens with Warner Brothers and Paramount is that goes through. I think that's a given. I think there is the political things in play. Obviously, it has to pass like the Senate and all that in America and all those committees and that. I can see it passing just because I think Ellison has that friendship with Trump. I think, having the president there pushing for it could happen. It might be a bit difficult, but we don't know. I think that this means that Netflix is going to buy someone. I'm thinking, I mean, it could be Studio Ghibli. Maybe they surprise me and buy Studio Ghibli. I don't know. But I think we're going to see Netflix make a play at Universal or Netflix make a play at Sony Sony Pictures. Because it makes sense. I mean, Universal, they would get Jurassic Park, I think. They would get, like, so many of the Universal lines. Jaws, I think, is Universal. So, they would get a lot of those sort of titles. They'll get a lot of IPs with Universal. I don't see Comcast selling, but they'd also get NBC, There's a lot of that stuff. I mean, does NBC own The Office still? Or they would get The Office. And, Netflix has, for a long time, said that The Office, when it was on there, is very big. It does big numbers. Seinfeld even. Is Seinfeld a NBC show? So they'd get a lot of these titles if they went with Universal. Likewise, they would get like Men in Black and stuff like that if they went with Sony. Now it's a matter of a studio has to sell, but this is the market at the moment. There is a market for studios being acquired. And I think a lot of people understand, a lot of the studio heads understand, if we market in the right way, we will get a bit of interest. I mean, look what just happened with Warner Brothers, 100 and whatever billion from Paramount, assuming it goes through. But, this is the thing. Less studios mean less streaming services, essentially, overall. It could mean that, hey, yes, it's a monopoly. It's a problem if it becomes a monopoly. But it's also, hey, people have been complaining for years that, oh, there's too many streaming services. I don't want to pay $400, $500 each year to get on all the streaming services. And I could see HBO Max, they've already basically said, Paramount's already said, like, HBO Max will be pushed into Paramount Plus. I think it should personally be the other way around. I think HBO has a bit more of a name value, but I don't know, Paramount, it could be its own streaming service. They might just call it Paramount Max or something and then have it as like, you have your HBO, you have your Paramount, you have everything in there you could imagine. I think that's the way to go. I think that's the way that deal's going. But Netflix will not sit by and just be like, oh, we lost that deal. As I said, it was a deal of at the right price rather than a must-have at any price. And I think Netflix will be looking now as like, okay, we've got a taste of what we could have had. Do we want to buy everyone the exodus from Warner Brothers when that eventually happens and establish something our own? Or do we want to buy IPs and build something? And I could see, like, they would have a bit more contention there because obviously maybe Apple will go for it, maybe Amazon come back in, maybe Disney. I don't think Disney can buy anymore because they're already too big. You'd have a bit more competition in terms of other people who go for it, but I think in terms of how much would be an offer in terms of money, Netflix would easily be the front runner in any deal. So it's a big question of who do Netflix buy, if they're going to buy anyone. I think Netflix would be best off buying Sony. Personally, I think Sony have been their picture division. I mean, it earns like what, 10 billion a year or something. I think they'll be better off if they just sold it and then focused fully on the PlayStation, because we've been, Lord forbid, or sorry, they actually focused on a PlayStation game for once. I mean, yes, we're getting PlayStation 5 games, we're getting PlayStation 5 games. But I want to see more from the PlayStation. And essentially, it would be good if they weren't trying to focus in on 400 different other things. We've seen them recently license out the TV division, or license out to TCL. I could see Netflix going in for a Sony Pictures. Obviously, Japan have different laws around that, but it would still, I think, stand a chance. The other option is also Universal, as I said. I think Universal could sell. Whether Netflix says, hey, Comcast, we'll offer you the same price we were going to offer for Paramount, not Paramount, the same price we were going to offer for Warner Brothers. We'll offer you the same price, but we'll pop up a bit. We'll play around with the numbers and see what we can do. Because we want the IPs. We want Jurassic Park. We want Jaws. We want E.T. We want, and yes, I'm naming a lot of Spielberg movies here, but, that's what I mean. They want to see that return. I mean, even Oppenheimer, is that like a property of Universal? Would they get Christopher Nolan? So that's another thing. There is a lot of potential there. Obviously, the Hulk is part of Universal. I mean, the IP for Hulk. Obviously, they can't do anything without Marvel's permission. I think there's still like a deal there that has to happen. But I could see them saying, you know what? We think it's the smart move. But what do you guys think? I want to know down in the comments. Let me know down in the comments what you think. Is Netflix going to make a play for anyone? Are they just going to kind of make it up as they go along? Or do you see Netflix holding on to the money and saying, you know what, let's just focus on our own content. Let's just make our own stuff. Well, we've done it before. Let's just do it again. Blockbuster didn't want to sell, so we ran Blockbuster out of business. That's the other scenario. Like, subscribe, drop a comment, hype the channel. Follow me on Instagram, Jamie Toomey Presents. Also, I've got a Twitch channel. I'm not doing really much on Twitch at the moment, but it's there, same name. And while you're at it, check out one of these 2 videos. I'll put a couple of end screens here, and I'll sing going to Ibiza. But I don't know. Let me know what you think, and watch a couple of my old videos, like them all, like everything. Tell me what you thought about Paramount and Warner Brothers merger. And I'll catch you on the next one. Peace. Geraldo, I said it was never going to work.